Yeah, that's right. Because I pre-recorded this, I'm wearing my Patriots stuff. And I realized that the Super Bowl's been over for 5 days. And I'm going to assume that the Patriots went on to win.
Your mind is so brilliant.
By 10 points.
What a loser.
What a loser.
Oh, what a loser!
I know, because I am a great loser.
You wish upon a star.
So if I'm wrong, call me out in the comments. If I'm right, give me my fucking praise already. So, yeah, I'm already smiling because today's episode of Metal Mailbag is one of those topics where I know exactly how I used to talk about it and exactly how dishonest that was. Because if I'm going to be real, and I am, this one lives right at the intersection of taste, denial, and raging teenage hormones.
The teenage years are filled with big emotions and raging hormones.
Let's talk about fucking hair metal.
And then every sort of hair metal band in America decided that they had to get a song on a horror movie.
He's the man behind the mask.
First question. Did you actually like hair metal at the time? Or was it something that you tolerated because it was everywhere? All right. So this is the truth, and I'm serious. I probably wouldn't have admitted it out loud back then, in the 80s, early 90s. Yeah, I did like some of it.
You're nothing but a desperate punk wannabe poser.
Actually, I liked a lot of it. I just didn't want to be caught liking it. Because if you were deep into the heavier stuff or trying to be, I think you learned pretty quickly which bands were quote unquote safe to talk about and which ones weren't. So liking thrash or speed metal gave you credibility. Liking glam got complicated, and it got complicated fast. So what happened was this weird mental filing system where certain bands lived in the public and others lived quiet. And in that quiet category for me was Tesla. Yes, Tesla, especially early Tesla. Bluesy, grounded, not cartoonish. They didn't feel fake to me. They felt like a hard rock band that accidentally got lumped into the scene because of either timing or perhaps geography. And I know I might be romanticizing that now, but that's how it felt then. I also loved early Def Leppard. One of my first albums was High and Dry. And yes, High and Dry is pre everything being polished to a mirror shine type of Def Leppard. But to me, the songs were undeniable. Those songs were sharp, hungry, built for arenas. And this is before arenas even knew they needed them. So, yeah, well, let me back up because I didn't frame it as liking hair metal. I framed it as liking certain bands despite the scene. And that may be an important distinction you make when you're either young or trying to protect your identity. So let's go to the second question. How much did the live shows factor into the appeal of hair metal? Oh, it factored. That's what factored more, like an embarrassing amount. Because this is where I guess I have to be honest in a way that feels almost too on the nose, but whatever, we're all fucking adults here, aren't we? Because those shows were fucking electric in a totally different way than thrash or any underground metal show. When you walked into an arena for, let's say, Motley Crue or Poison, the room felt charged before the band even came on. And yeah, a huge part of that was the crowd. It was the lights, the spectacle. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise. The girls, tons of them, attractive, loud, present. engaged in a way that felt completely different from the scene built around the aggression that I loved and the isolation. And I remember walking into some of those venues and feeling like my entire nervous system was on overdrive. Those are hormones. It's volume, movement, chaos. And it all blended together. The music almost became the soundtrack to the environment rather than the focal point. And I might be mixing this up, maybe with my own age at the time, but hair metal shows felt social. They weren't just about the band. I think they were about being seen, maybe meeting people, flirting poorly, yelling lyrics that you barely knew, and it mattered. A lot more than I wanted to admit, of course, when I was also listening to much darker, heavier stuff in my bedroom, alone. But here's a reflective pause. If there was ever one, sometimes music, it hits not because it's profound, but because it's actually happening exactly the wrong or right time in your life. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Third question. Why do you think hair metal gets written off so easily compared to other metal subgenres? Good question. So this is where I catch myself being unfair. And I'm still unfair, even now, today. Hair metal made itself an easy target. Image forward, glossy, excessive, and eventually, formulaic. Because once the industry figured out how to manufacture it, the soul of it drained out fast. And that part's hard to defend. But early on, before it turned into a parody, a lot of those bands could play. They wrote hooks. They understood dynamics. They knew how to hold a room. And live when everything aligned, it worked. I think the real reason it gets dismissed is because it reminds people of parts of themselves that they'd rather not revisit. And that's your youth, insecurity, and desire. That feeling of liking something for reasons that aren't, I guess, pure. I used to separate my serious metal listening from this stuff like it was a moral choice. And now looking back, that's fucking ridiculous. But I was a kid, give me a break. Music doesn't live in clean categories. It lives in fucking moments, in rooms and bodies. So yeah, was I secretly obsessed with certain hair metal bands and their live shows? Abso-fucking-lutely. Did I downplay it later when my tastes hardened? Most fucking definitely. But that doesn't make the music, I guess the word meaningless. It just makes it human. It was a 10-year passage. Anyway, that's me being honest. I guess about a chapter I used to gloss over. But if you got more questions, maybe about guilty pleasures, scenes that you half loved, or music that hit you for reasons you didn't fully understand at the time, just send them in. Put them in either in the post I put up every Monday, and I'll keep thinking out loud. This is Metal Mailbag. I'm Fred Carroll. Go Patriots, I think. I hope. Who gives a fuck?